Hello and welcome back to the Multipliers Club. Today's podcast is with Kirk Miller. Kirk Miller is a transformational specialist with extensive experience in the health, fitness and wellness industry spanning over the last 24 years. Kirk works with the world's top business leaders and entrepreneur giants to get them in the best physical and mental shape of their lives. He won the 2010 Men's Health Cover Model Competition and has featured on record men's fitness front covers and publications globally. Through his journey from a Coventry council estate to professional footballer to a lost life in plumbing to the top of the fitness world, Kirk is obsessed with helping others live with true confidence and without limitation. Now based in Dubai, Kirk is also a regular public speaker to companies and is a master at getting high performers in peak shape without compromising their lifestyle, business aspirations and family values.
So Kirk, thank you for coming on. Do you want to start off by telling us who you are and what you do?
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. This is one of the most unique but really relaxing environments to come into a podcast, and I've known you 2 minutes, but I love your energy, I really do. So very honoured to have you boys on, and all of you will probably need to sit down by the end of this, and all the listeners who are tuning in also, thank you so much in advance for listening to me. My name's Kirk Miller. I've just turned 40. Recently got engaged after 4 years of my missus breathing down my neck. So that's on a personal front. But my obsession, and I call that, is what I do professionally as well. So I get genuinely some of the most successful entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders in the best physical, mental shape of their lives without compromising lifestyle, which we'll talk on, no doubt, over this episode. But yeah, it's an online business where we pride ourselves on creating lasting change. So I have a main core program called Built to Last, which is, I believe, a cut above the norm when I compare ourselves to other coaching services. And I'm friends with a lot of people who have great coaching services, but one thing that still frustrates me now, I suppose, is the amount of people that are being let down when it comes to helping someone get and stay in shape. There's a lot of bullshit out there, guys.
So much, yeah.
Clickbait. You'll do this in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Look, you can make enormous changes in that period, but for me, it's fucking people up. You know, it has. If you can't keep it, just like in business, what's the point in having a good business for a good run for a month, 2 months, 3 months? Look, we all have ups and downs. You know, I won't sugarcoat that, but my program Built to Last, it's for the last port of call. When you come on my ship, the only reason you would not fail is if you didn't listen, you didn't ever train, you didn't move. But lasting change is key, as otherwise, when someone has maybe dropped some weight or looked good for a short period and then fell backwards, you've actually tasted what it feels like to feel better about yourself. Because I truly believe that everything we do is to chase a feeling, whether it's in business, body, whatever it is we do.
That's very true, actually.
We want a feeling. Of course it is. Why do we do what we do?
Yeah.
Which I struggled with that for a number of years. But yeah, long-winded way of saying. But yeah, I run a business. I have a world-class team. I love what I do. Still at the baby stages, I believe, in terms of the potential. But that's where I am now. I'm sure we'll unpack through some questions. And I know we spoke privately before this podcast. It's never been that clean cut. I mean, I didn't ever think I'd be entering entrepreneurship. Life for me began as an aspiring footballer from a council estate in Coventry.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Yeah, tell us more about that. Actually, that'd be quite.
Yeah, so look, I'm a council estate kid from Coventry. Proud of that. Really hard working class parents and background. Taught me great values. But my dream was very, very simple. From the moment I could talk, walk, and kick a football. Your dad puts that Manchester United kit on, which so I don't know what you boy.
Chelsea.
No, I suppose. Listen, I'm going to say Manchester United under my breath at the minute because we're absolutely terrible.
I can't talk with Chelsea.
We're struggling. We're in the same boat there. But yeah, I was obsessed with football. I really was. That was all I wanted to do, and that journey was going pretty smooth from the age of, I'd say 6, 7. I'm the kid at school that captain the football teams, good at athletics, and it didn't start off that way though. Because at the age of, year before 7, so at the age of 6, I woke up, I couldn't move my knees. I had this really, really weird form of arthritis. So age of 3.
Really?
Yeah, and that I was in and out of a thing called plaster in Paris for a few years. So that was where my knees would be okay. Then I'd have to go to the hospital and have this weird old school plaster stuff, and then I'd have to rebuild again.
Kind of like you broke your leg, is it? Like that?
It was just. I wouldn't say it was like Forrest Gump, but it was my knees were just not strong. And I get told by a Polish specialist, and this is why I'm so obsessed with developing people's beliefs and the mindset side of things as well. At the age of 6, I don't know if any of you guys have this, or any listeners, we always have pivotal moments that somehow we seem to remember from our childhood that shape how we think, our view of the world. And I remember I was in a doctor's with my mother, and this Polish specialist says to me, I know you love football, but the only sport you're ever going to be able to do is swim. He knew I love football. I remember crying in that moment. Internally, I'm like, I'll prove this guy wrong. Technically, I did. Because I then went on to become a professional footballer on a say, small level, but I didn't quite that next grade, as you'll hear in a second. But I could do a lot of things with my legs that he told me I couldn't do. Athletics champion, all that type of stuff. That developed that winning mentality, I suppose. So I used that someone telling me I couldn't do something to prove him wrong, which from a sport perspective was brilliant. From a personal perspective, this is why I'm so big on people really trying to get more control of their emotions, their beliefs, their identity. I think it created a level of a need to be absolutely perfect in order for me to progress in whatever it was. And I think that held me back later on in my career because I get picked up by Coventry at 10. Again, very quickly became best player in the team. Then at the age of 13, this is the number one reason why I'm so big on developing people's belief systems and why it's so important that if you're listening to this as an entrepreneur, that if you're looking to go to a new level with body, business or both, having the belief that you can is so, so important because at the age of 13, Manchester United called my house. They've been watching me a pre-season tournament.
Yeah, Collie.
And as I said, I've just told you I was a United fan, right? And this is when Manchester United had Sir Alex Ferguson, David Beckham, Cantona, Giggs. I was obsessed. That was like, I was obsessed. I was that kid that watched my games with my dad and my brother and had every kit.
That's the dream.
Yeah, exactly. And just with those words, guys, I had the dream in the palm of my hand. At 13, you have 2 choices. Take the safe option, which was stay at Coventry. Gordon Strachan, are you familiar with him? He was a famous footballer.
I heard the name, yeah.
He found out Manchester United, called me, turns up at the training ground, which again was unheard of. He didn't get the first team manager turning up, when you to watch teenage training games. And he said to me, look, Kirk, Manchester United have called you, but we don't want you going anywhere. And I was like, oh, they haven't. I tried to lie. Anyway, they offered me a professional contract. So I knew at 13, if I'd have stayed at Coventry, I'm a guaranteed professional footballer. 4 years later, I signed a pro contract.
That's mad.
So safe option. Or I take the uncomfortable one, the riskier one, but the one in my heart, that if I'd have been brave enough to pursue that next level, and my genuine full potential, I'd have signed for Manchester United. I went up to Manchester and took a chance. But moving from Coventry to Manchester back in those days, when you're coming from council estate background, that was a big deal to go a couple of hours up the country. Well, it's not now, of course. I'm now living in Dubai. But it was the first moment in life, really, that you either really get out your comfort zone or you take the comfortable option. I take the comfortable option, made up a story for years. Mum said, what about your studies? What if it goes wrong? Which was bullshit. How many times as a child, from the age of 4 or 5, do you ignore your parents when they ask you to do something? I conveniently made up a story because it was like sort of protection that if it did go wrong, or it was like I'd rather make up that story about why I didn't go to Manchester United just in case I went to Manchester United and failed, when deep down that so-called safe option with Coventry, I get released 7 years later after a 3-year contract. So when I was 20, after being at Coventry for 3 years, Gary McAllister takes me up into his office. Big 6'4" Scottish guy. Again, he played at Liverpool, won everything in the game, and he says to me, Kirk, we think you've got a great future in the game, just not at this football club. We don't want you. You're not good enough to get for this next contract, and we wish you all the best. And that was like, at the time, that was the first time someone had categorically said to me, "You're not enough. We don't want you." So it was the first time really I faced rejection.
Was you getting first team football at that point?
I was in the reserves on the
Okay.
I was training with the first team sometimes.
Yeah.
But look, football's a brutal business. It really is. You need a bit of luck. Over the 3-year period there, I had maybe 18 months of injuries. Again, not knowing how to properly structure my training.
Recover properly.
It was a lot different back then. It really was. But look, a mixture of not being good enough and injuries, mate. I'm not deluded. I'm not bitter about it because I wouldn't be here today or have the coaching business or the understanding of people. But that period and doing what I did is why I'm so passionate now and so direct now. When someone tells me they can't change or take their health or body to another level, it's nonsense. Like, if it's been done before by someone else, you can do it. After that period, then I got totally lost in life because you think, what do you do? When I'd attached my whole identity to being a professional footballer.
A lot of footballers do that though, right?
They do. How many footballers do you see struggling with
Mental health,
alcohol, food, putting on loads of weight, cheating, destructive behaviour patterns, fighting, or just lack of purpose? It's staggering. And there was no awareness at that time, because when you get let go, there's no real help. It's just you're in the big wide world of what now? When you
Do you have to like contact clubs and try and keep going? How process work?
I could have, and there was opportunities to do exit trials, but you know what? I was just done with football. It was sort of like, how long do I pursue this? And I just think it's sapped my confidence a lot more than what I thought, because this is why so many players struggle. When a lot of players are going to professional football clubs, they're the big fish in a small pond in their school team, but then everyone's on a similar level, across the 3-year period. Think about, you've got the best players from all the country. We had overseas players and things like that. You just don't know what to do. And then I then have a second option of what you're doing, what you're going to do. And I chose another safe option: retrain as a gas engineer, a plumber, because that's safe. You'll always be able to pay your bills.
Gas safe.
Yeah, gas. I mean, to be honest, full transparency, I don't know how I passed that gas course. That was, from my language listeners, that was a fucking joke. If anyone could pass that, there's hope for anyone. There's nothing wrong with the plumbing career, by the way. I've got friends who are brilliant plumbers, and you can make an awful lot of money if you're actually passionate about it and get pretty good at it. And I was neither, So the reason that's important is, this might relate to certain people stuck right now in their jobs or with their business, or fearing making a change they know in their heart they should do. I chose the safe option again. Basically, I didn't learn my lesson from the age of 13. I had that first moment of safe option doesn't really work out for me, right? And then retrained as a gas engineer. My only area of life where I felt I had significance, or I suppose I was happy, really, was in the gym. It's like that was the only area where I still felt I was getting, there was some status, Kirk always had the good body and all that stuff.
You were the gym guy, that's what you were known for.
I was, but that's where there was zero judgment on, I know one of the reasons you got me on this today, and I was speaking tomorrow about this, is I don't want anyone to ever think that just, say they look at my pictures and videos and body and all that stuff, that I'm just another guy that's all about the body. Because I know what it was like during that period to still have the six-pack, but to be incredibly miserable because I had no purpose in what I did. Think about this for a second. Right? This is why so many footballers struggle. You've got this vehicle in football where it gives you structure, it meets your needs, as in human needs. And I really, really believe in this philosophy that I remember learning it back to back with some Tony Robbins courses. 6 human needs he talks about, where they're not beliefs, they're not values. Everything you do is to meet your needs in some capacity. When you play football, and this will relate to a lot of business owners, you guys, I guarantee, why do you love entrepreneurship, for example? Gives you a sense of certainty. Football gave me a sense of certainty, right? Variety, everything's different, so it keeps you mentally stimulated. Significance, you feel unique, needed, important, right? Love and connection. You know, football, you got your teammates, you got your fans, same with business, right? And then you got growth, contribution, they're two spiritual needs. So I don't want to go too heavy on this, but hear me out on this. When you grow in business and football, again, you feel good. You're making a difference along the way. I was with my teammates, you're trying to play to win. Same in entrepreneurship, you're all working together to try and, right?
Yeah, playing the game to win.
But my point is you've got this vehicle, whether it's in football or entrepreneurship, for me at that time, that is meeting 6 human needs in empowering ways, basically positive, and then it gets took away. You still need to meet these needs. I replaced that with becoming a plumber. Didn't give me certainty. Not in the same way. Variety, boring, right? Significance, I didn't feel important being a plumber. Do you know what I mean? Connection, not really. Growing, reluctantly stumble way through becoming a plumber. So I've replaced one behaviour, one way of living with something that didn't fulfil me. And then if you replace something that's meeting your needs in empowering ways and disempowering ways, you're going to have to find a way to meet your needs in empowering ways. For me, that was at the weekend. You know, drink, drugs, still the ripped guy, because I'm not happy with what I did. When you're not happy with what you do, you can't possibly be happy with who you are. And then that leads to destructive behaviour patterns. So, long story short with that one, that was the second time in my life that the safe option didn't work out too well. That continued for 6 years. And then I won a men's health competition in 2010.
What was that? Was that the magazine?
Yeah, so you know the magazine. They used they used to run a yearly
top shelf.
Yeah, yeah.
Back on the front. Yeah.
They're still there now, but they used to run a yearly competition where they did like a cover model competition where it was for the average guy who they wanted to be as relatable as possible, was in shape, normal job, and thankfully in 2010, my friend Sonia, owe Sonia a lot. I was that despondent with life at the time that she actually entered the pictures for me because I'm not, they're going to pick me. Well, I'm the kid from Coventry who's still shot with confidence after being football rejected, going, how are they going to pick a kid from Coventry? Because there was no belief. And, you know, thankfully, she did put the pictures in. You had to do a 250-word write-up.
She did it for you?
Yeah, she did, yeah. But that's, I mean, it's ridiculous, really. I mean, if anyone sees me now, I'm anything but lazy. I mean, I detest that trait, but you're lost. You know, you do stupid shit when you're lost and, you know... Because what was ironic, the year before, the same lady, Sonia, she entered, did the same for me. She goes, Kurt, you just pick up this magazine all the time and you keep looking at the guys going, oh, I could do that. But it was just a belief. And she'd entered the year before for me, 3 pictures, get this, did the write-up for me. I made the final the year before, missed it because I was fitting a toilet in the job that I didn't like, hung over from the weekend, right? Because I live for the weekend, you know, because I'm not happy. Of course. And I called them back a week later. Who does that? I called them back a week later. I'm like, never forget that call. I said, Claire, it's Kirk. She says, okay, Kirk. I said, I've made the men's health final. I'm just calling you back. She says, Kirk, you've called us back too late. We don't give people notice for men's health. They didn't like to give people time. It was like 11 days before the comp because they didn't want people being bodybuilders and stuff. So long story short, I fucked it up because I was despondent. And then thankfully, you know, the same frame pushed me to do it and win the men's health competition. And that's when the penny dropped. This is my 3rd universe sign in life that are you going to take the uncomfortable option or comfortable option and take a chance on yourself? And I quit my job with 5 hours personal training, retrained as a personal trainer, just to get my piece of paper, really. So I was still in the gym at that point, you know, I was still in shape. And again, that was the only thing I was really happy with doing. But I think it was far too obvious at that point for me to become a coach, a personal trainer. It was glaringly obvious I should have done that, but it wasn't really classed as like a real job back then. You know, you think, oh, it's just a PT when you're actually changing someone's life, do you know what I mean? But I couldn't see it. But quit my job with 5 hours personal training. Had my friends found, what about your bills? What if it goes wrong? But I thought, you get to moments in your life where you're like, if I don't take a chance on myself or do something different, how is my life going to look any different? I'm sure there'll be so many entrepreneurs who relate to that at some point. You know, it's amazing what happens when you don't give yourself a choice but to change. Or I love like one of the Tony Robbins quotes or statements where he says, sometimes you get to a threshold where that thing you should do becomes a must do, because you just don't want to tolerate living with how you currently are just now. And quit my job with 5 hours personal training.
How old was you at that point?
26. So there was like literally, when I tell you I was only, I say guaranteed, there's no guarantee, because I went straight into freelance personal training. I was probably earning that first week, 2 weeks, 200 quid or something. I just thought, as long as I got enough to eat,
get by,
sleep, I didn't even have a car because obviously I when I was doing the plumbing, I wasn't really using a car at weekend. I had a plumbing van during the week, so
didn't need it.
I had to hand that back to the company that I was working for.
Yeah.
And then, so I was literally borrowing my friend's van for a number of weeks because I didn't have the money to buy a car, and I needed to get to the clients at the gym. And I remember it kept breaking down, and it was like so embarrassing, because some of the money that I was making from my personal training, even though it was pennies, I was having to buy taxis, to make the sessions on time. So it's mad looking back.
It's a sacrifice, right?
Yeah, it is. But in your heart, and I know that you boys have got this mentality. I've known you literally for minutes. You just know one way or another you're going to make it work. If you don't quit, you don't give up. And but equally on that side, when you're living with purpose and you love what you do, which I clearly love doing that very quickly, I could become very busy. You all of a sudden you got a full diary. You're making more money in X amount of time. God knows how many I was PT than I was in weeks and weeks of plumbing, and did that for a number of years. Started winging online training because you're thinking, okay, how can I bring in another revenue stream in your business?
You must have been there at the very beginning with the online training, I suppose. So 15 years ago, you're saying PT wasn't really a thing back then too much, and
it was, but online training wasn't really. There wasn't many people.
I bet there weren't.
There wasn't many people doing it, or there certainly wasn't many people doing it properly, right? And when I first started, because I didn't have a clue about business. I mean, I'd been a footballer. I was switched on at school. Don't get me wrong, and I had evidence that you could learn skill sets even with plumbing, even though I still don't know to this day how I pass it. Right? But I didn't understand business. No one teaches you on your personal training course what's a core offer, how do you market, how do you sell, what are systems, how do you provide a better service. Because most personal trainers, they're glamorized motivators. They'll be able to shout you in the gym for a few hours a week. But the truth is, and this is really, really prevalent with any entrepreneurs listening to this, training a few hours a week in the gym isn't the thing that's going to keep you healthy long term alone. How you manage your lifestyle, your food, as will impact, across this episode. But so for me, when I started the online training, I didn't have a clue about price points, and it was very manual. I got some great results off the back, so I knew how to get someone in shape, but it was so long winded. I was overwhelmed with like 5 clients.
How are you getting clients? Is it referrals from
social media, and then if you do a good job with a couple of clients, and then people talk. And I think one of the things that always helped me as a marketing card wasn't just the results with clients, but it was obviously the exposure with the magazines. So after I got the couple of men's health covers when I won that competition, I got record covers with Men's Fitness, sponsorship, with like brands like Grenade and My Protein. And I was always in shape.
So I imagine people probably enter that for leverage in the first place.
Say that again.
I reckon people would probably enter the men's health to try and get to use it as leverage, whereas the opportunity just happened because of your friend.
I won the men's health, and then because I think I was so reliable, knowing that a magazine editor could message me at 2 days' notice and I would be in shape. A lot of people needed weeks and weeks to do that, and that's not being arrogant talking about that, but I always led by example. So even though during my 20s, I know we spoke about this before, didn't we? My behaviour patterns at weekend was shocking. I was drinking and eating.
Can I ask a question on that, just out of interest? Because like you, I went through to be honest, most of my 20s I was partying a lot while still exercising. And for me, fitness is the one thing that I feel keeps me sane. Yeah. So when you got dropped from the football team, just going back, and you were in a bad place, if you didn't have your fitness, where do you think you would have been?
I think great question. I think if I didn't have my health, I say my health, I wasn't training and at least doing something to look after my body. I mean, I won't name names, but there's many players that left Coventry City or footballers that I know that went down a dark hole into some horrific places. I mean, I've got one of my friends, I mean, he's not with us now, that Danny Pitham, one of my friends, he couldn't get off cocaine. He was just in destructive relationships, hated his job. He was living for the weekend like a lot of us were during that point, but he couldn't get off that hamster wheel. So he did train, but not like I did. And so I genuinely think that was my saviour. Honestly, there was nothing else I was happy with in my life, or anything that filled my calendar up that was actually good for me, making me at least be a positive influence on other people by being an example in some way, just by the way I look, by the way I train. But I couldn't even really contemplate it, really, mate, to be honest. It's.
Do you think maybe there's such an emotional anchor for you to help people with their life because of that transitional period you went through when you were in that dark hole, potentially?
Yeah, well, it's an amazing question. It really is. You couldn't have summed it up any better with that question, because if I look at, not just from that period of leaving Coventry, just 20 to 26 really, when, you know, I then went into health and fitness coaching, etc. The reason I'm so passionate about what I do, from the age of 13 to 26, say 27, you know, once I've fully put foot to the floor, you know, with your coaching career, that's the best part of 14 years where the thing that was really holding me back was my mindset, my lack of belief in myself. So when I see an entrepreneur who's overweight, or anyone really that I have the power to influence, you know, even though my business, of course, I work with entrepreneurs, business owners, that type of stuff, equally, there's many people on my social media, for example, who might listen to my own podcast or listen to this podcast that might not be an aspirational entrepreneur, but they might want to be healthier, happier, be more confident in their own skin, not be embarrassed when they take their top off. More importantly, be in control of the conversations to yourself when no one else is around, which sounds pretty deep, but I firmly believe the quality of your life isn't determined by your bank balance, even though we are all chasing, you know, targets, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially when it's aligned to purpose. But I really believe the quality of your life is determined by the quality of conversations to yourself, quality of your relationship with others and yourself, more importantly. And when you look yourself in the mirror, like, are you happy with the person you're trying to become? Are you in control of your own journey? Or are you just doing things because that's what society says you should do, or you're still trying to prove to your childhood self that you can do X, Y, Z, or your parents, because so many things can shape our destiny and our path. You know? I just think there's too many people on this earth that will live with regret, and live with regret of when their storybook closes, because the truth is we're all going to die, and they think, I wish I tried to become a better businessman. I wish I tried to become a better partner. You know, I wish I was healthier. I wish I at least was brave enough to take a chance on myself in my career. And that is just my absolute passion, because I know what it's like to not waste 14 years, because I wouldn't have such a burning desire perhaps to help people the way I do if I didn't go through that period and know that I was my own worst enemy. You know, it was the lack of belief, the mindset, the stories, the playing the victim, you know, that got in the way. So, yeah, anyone I coach, care, love for, can have the ability to communicate to, just if I can play my part in just going, you know, it's never too late to change, and you know, there is a solution for everything, and if you lean on the right people, we've got enough evidence in life, right, in business and with body, that you don't have to have everything figured out, and it doesn't matter how many times you fail. There is enough evidence from millions and millions of people that we probably all look up to in business or with body to go, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And I just think that's what I want to be, you know, a leading voice on that front.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a really good point, and I think there's a huge direct correlation between productivity and fitness, right? Like, we all train, we're all into our training, and we feel so much better for getting in the gym and training every day. I'm trying to empower people around me
Yeah.
who are not going to the gym every day. For example, I recently signed my mum up to a gym membership. Said, "Mum, don't worry, I'm going to pay for it. As long as you go minimum 4 times a week, I'll pay for it." And she's doing it. But a lot of people tell me, "Sam, I ain't got time to go to the gym." What would you say to viewers listening who want to get fitter, but they just say they haven't got the time? What would you say to them?
Can you show me your calendar, please?
Yeah.
I'd love to see someone's calendar. And look, we all have weeks and months that throw us off. You know, your back's up against the wall, especially with children, right? And work curveballs, I get it. But if you've got that pattern, week to week, month to month, it's a decision. The harsh reality is this: your priorities aren't revealed by what you say they are, they're revealed by how you live. It's as simple as that. And look, we all have different values, and I don't want to force my values on anyone listening to this podcast, because obviously my number one value is health. Why? Because even as a business owner, if I'm not healthy, there is no business. If I'm not healthy, I can't help my clients. If I'm not healthy, I can't create opportunities for my team. If I'm not healthy, I'm not around, you know. But even if your health isn't your number one value, the key thing you need to ask yourself, if you just are blaming time, don't look at what it costs you making time to train, what it costs you in money paying to your gym kit or membership or coach, whatever. What would that bring you as an emotional benefit, personal benefit, professional benefit? Whereas too many people look at it's an inconvenience, it's a cost. I might have to manage my food, I might have to train hard, I might have to
Time,
I might have to pay some money. But they don't, and I'm going to talk about this heavily tomorrow on that talk. People, if you're stuck and this resonates with you, right, stack the emotional value that dedicating a few hours a week to look after yourself will bring to your life. So don't think, what does it cost me? Think is, what will this bring to my relationship? What will this bring to my work performance? What will this bring to my personal relationship? If you're an entrepreneur, there's a strong chance you're involved in some element of sales. Do you not think that if you dedicate a bit of time to your health and fitness and you've got more energy and you look the part, that's going to make a big difference to your confidence and energy when you're trying to negotiate a deal or get someone over the line?
I was reading something the other day similar to that, as to do with getting in the ice bath. So some people they don't know the benefits, they'll just get in and then they'll see the benefits afterwards. But I feel like a lot of people will want to know the benefits before they get in.
That's where, again, they're just totally unaware of the benefits. They've never had it broken down.
Yeah.
And shoot me a message and I'll send you a diagram that I'm going to show in my tomorrow's talk.
Yeah.
That'll happily show you the benefits. I mean, even if I just reel some off now of someone's gone, oh yeah, I ain't got the time. Again, one, I'd love to see the calendar, but I don't believe anyone is that busy that they can't get in 3 workouts a week and go factor in some movement in their day. And what will that bring you? Because you can't give what you don't have, right? You can't have entrepreneurs go, I'm really, really high energy. You might be naturally high energy, but if you're not moving regularly or eating well, or at least respecting sleep in some way, you are leaving even more potential energy on the table.
And I think obviously you speak highly on obviously the emotional side, which I completely agree with, like how, you know, but also if you're entrepreneurial, then if you do want to measure the financial side, there is 100% a financial benefit to freeing up time. There is no way if you just roll out of bed and you work from start to finish that you're making more money than if you free up time. Like now this year, I used to say it's all limited beliefs with everything in life, innit? And the more self-development I think I do and we all do, we try to break down those beliefs. Like I used to, for example, say I wasn't a morning person. That was no benefit to my life whatsoever, and it was just a stupid, limited belief. Now I go to the gym I get there for 6:30 in the morning, and I don't really start work now until like sort of 9 o'clock in the morning. And by that time, I've done probably an hour's workout. I've been in the sauna, I've been in the plunge pool. You know, I've had a good few hours awake of me time. And I said this before we started the podcast, the difference of if I rolled out of bed at 20 to 8 in the morning to my phone ringing before, and there's, you know, some sort of problem on the phone that I have to deal with, is stress, your day's shit, you hate this, you know, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, da-da-da-da-da. Now, that same phone call when I'm on my way back from the gym, you call me up, it's not even a problem. It's like, you know, I've already got the solution and it doesn't phase me. It just bounces straight off me. I know how to deal with it. I know how to, you know, communicate to a client or whatever it might be. And the difference is massive. And then the productivity, you're just set up for the rest of the day, that taking out a couple of hours of your day at the start of the day, or just making your day longer. Like now I get up earlier. I haven't even really taken it. I've probably lost an hour from 8 till 9 of work time. But like you will see what you then achieve in the hours, the shorter hours of you working. You'll see a financial reward, 100%, 1,000,000%. Like I said, especially if you're in sales and stuff. Just your tonality.
It's conviction. It's conviction.
Yeah, conviction.
So, we spoke about this before, didn't we? But you're going into the day in a proactive state.
Yeah.
Think about this.
Reactive.
The growth of any business is a byproduct of your decision making. You know, your decision making, like, you know, the quality of your life is determined by your decision making, but it's your state management that influences your decision making. So if you can put yourself in a proactive, empowering state as much as possible through your energy, through your confidence, by doing something for your mind, body, or both, even first thing or whenever suits your day, you will outwork competitors. You'll get more done in less time. You will enjoy what you do more, and as you said, you will handle challenges, curveballs, so much more by keeping your shit together. And everyone feels good. Let's get real here, right? If anyone listening to this podcast, evaluate your year to date and look at the weeks where you felt you accomplished a lot more. What were you doing more of? What were you doing less of? I can almost guarantee your temperament was better that week. You might have slept a bit better. Whether you realised it or not, you maybe moved a little bit more. You might have by default, if exercise or food management isn't your thing, I guarantee you probably looked after yourself a little bit better. On the flip side, if you listen to this, and there's no judgment, because I've had these weeks too, you think, I've not had a great, what was one of the most worst weeks so far this year in business? What were you doing more of? What were you doing less of? You know, it's the habit that, it's the habits of how you're operating on a day-to-day basis which would influence how you actually showed up in your decision making. There's no accidents.
When you fall off as well, I think it's just a vicious cycle, because you just use it as an excuse, or whatever, I didn't get enough, I went out this weekend or whatever, so I didn't go to the gym, so then I didn't eat well, and then it's all compounds in the bad way.
100%. It's, as I said, you just have to stack the value of, and people do this in their business already. Like, why is it entrepreneurs, business owners don't struggle to consistently show up at work? Right? How many times over the years when you're starting your business, right, even if you're tired, you still show up, right? Because you are crystal clear of the emotional and probably financial consequence if you don't. So you keep following through. But my point is, you're fully aware of the emotional impact of, if I don't show up at work, if I don't start those conversations, you know, work hard, blah, 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 that's going to cost me. And you're also aware of the deeper meaning. If you do show up and you do get your hands dirty and you do outwork competition, you know, that's going to affect my quality of life in a positive way. You have to ask yourself the same questions when it comes to health. There's so many parallels in business and with health and body. It's untrue, you know. And I truly believe, and I say this to all of my older guys that work with us, because our demographic is, you know, generally sort of late 30s, 40s up. They've got enough evidence in their life to realise that when they're structured, when they've got a good peer group, generally a level of accountability, that they will, and a roadmap and a system to follow, they'll succeed. And I really believe if you've done it in business, you can do it in your body. And maybe I'm biased and pat down how hard it is to build a body, or how not hard it is to build a body, right? Having been an entrepreneur now and having my own business, it's a fucking lot easier to build a great body and keep a great body, in my opinion, than build and scale a business and deal with team and all this stuff. Trust me, getting in great shape isn't that complicated, and a lot of coaches probably put people off, and maybe some entrepreneurs listening to this who are going, I've not got time, because they overcomplicate it. It's not complicated. there are 6 things you need to manage in terms of managing how you want to look, the energy you want, your body weight, your body shape, and that is training stimulus. I strongly advocate, even if you have no aspirations to have big muscles and 6-pack, lift weights if you want to stay out of back pain long term and you want a strong, robust body. Right? Even if it's not your primary source of activity, at some point not doing strength work will cost you. In fact, bones degenerate, muscles wear and tear just through age. Then you have steps, movement. We spoke about this before, walking. Right? Walk. I've not once said about cardio. We don't start any of our clients with cardio when they first join. Oh, well, how much cardio? First of all, let's optimize movement in your day-to-day schedule. And it doesn't mean doing 3-hour walks because that's not practical for many people, right? Can you lift 3 days a week? Let's factor in step target, and what days do you think you can easily get more steps in, or what times of the day can you get more steps in? You know, so it plugs and plays around someone's lifestyle, but they're your energy out metrics: training stimulus and movement. Steps as in, then you have energy in, which is food quality and food quantity. Okay, food quantity is going to dictate someone's body weight. Right, body weight. How many people on this earth want to drop weight, want to lose a little bit of weight? It's down to your food quantity in relation to your energy out, which I'm a big advocate of. If the constant battle is food, which 99.9% of people go, food, it's just food, right? Join the club. I'm yet to coach anyone that doesn't want to eat more food, especially if you've got a few quid as an entrepreneur. What do you want to do to celebrate your wins?
A nice meal.
Okay, cool, right? Again, I know this sounds fucking ruthless. This is a straight talk coming out of me now. That meal doesn't taste as good when you feel like shit, right? When someone's overweight, right, fucking lacking energy, that meal is not the same. Which is why I'm such a big advocate of, if we know food portion stuff is always a battle, and it is for all of our clients, by the way. Maximise your movement out as much as you can. The more you move, guess what? The more you can eat. Then if you can put in some quality weight training sessions too, it pushes a threshold up at which the amount of food your body can handle and easily stay in shape. Diet plans do not work. Low calories do not work long term. We have enough evidence to realise that people aren't born to be in a calorie deficit. So if we can optimise movement out, or simply put, if someone's going, God, this is a little bit much for me, Kirk, move a little bit more than you did last week. Maybe train a little bit more than what you did last week. Would you agree that's an improvement on what you did last week? Which means that you probably handle more food. Then the fourth it's called core drivers, is calorie food quality. So we spoke about this again before. I really believe if there was more global awareness of 2 basic things, there'd be less people in hospitals, less people dying, less people struggling with their weight, people would feel better, stressed out entrepreneurs wouldn't be as stressed, is minimise processed food and refined sugar. Even if someone didn't want to follow a diet plan, track calories, I guarantee if you had more protein, minimise processed food, minimise refined sugar.
What's refined sugar?
Added sugar. It's the most addictive thing in the world, in my opinion, other than probably hardcore drugs, which I've not dipped my toe in that. Right. But do you understand? It's just sugar is the most addictive thing in the world, in my opinion. You're talking to someone, again, very obsessive character, like all of us in here, like a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm not a man who's very good at having one cookie, so I choose to park it.
It is addictive.
Yeah, it's hyper palatable food. It does not fill you up.
Yeah,
I think it makes me feel sick now. Now I've stopped eating sweets. I actually feel like I think about it a lot more, and I'm like,
you pick your battles for it, and
but I crave it. I go in the shop every time I go in the shop. I'm looking at the sweets like, should I buy one?
I don't know your background.
Oh man, yeah. Luckily, I've got good mates. I fucking love chocolate. Yeah. That's my vice. I used to wake up at 3 a.m. to go toilet, and I'd eat a chocolate bar. Really weird.
That's addiction.
It is. And I mean, it's extreme. You're talking to everyone like now. You see me on 6-pack and all this stuff. I'm talking about this stuff. Don't forget, I grew up in a household where my parents weren't educated about food.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I mean, Easter eggs. I remember Easter. I mean, I remember polish 8 in a day. You know, I used to have a family bag of crisps on the way to school. Bearing in mind, I was at Coventry at the time as a footballer, so because my output was that high.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I anything, but it was ridiculous. But I'd eat anything. You know, I didn't learn to eat healthy till into my 20s. You know, so. But yeah, just going back to the other core drivers. So you've got 2 things to think about from energy out perspective. How can I walk more, and how can I factor in some strength training. And I'm a big fan of full body training if you're an entrepreneur. Why? It gives you structure and it's more malleable. Doing chest day, back day, leg day, all this stuff, that creates an all or nothing mentality. From my experience, if an entrepreneur needs to travel or something crops up and they miss a muscle group, they feel like they've failed. Fuck it, I've missed arms today. I've missed arms this week. So, not the perfect week. And guess what happens when entrepreneurs don't do a perfect week? Fuck it. Then the food starts going to shit because it's not this perfect week.
Mate, that is so true, because for me, like, if I miss a day in the gym, I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll just get McDonald's. Or
exactly.
Do you think, what's the point?
Exactly.
Right? But then if you go to the gym, you walk past McDonald's and you don't even really want that double cheeseburger as much.
Because you
know
feel
what I mean?
good.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to wait till you see that one talk tomorrow. You're going to... I know the psychology of people. It's no joke. I've been there myself. It's even when I was in my dark days in my 20s, when I was in a bit of a hole, and if I had a big weekend, some days that Monday I wouldn't see the gym. If I didn't go to the gym, me and my friend who was my training partner at the time, I'd call him and go, fuck it, should we just get some shit after work? We'll go and eat a load of shit and I'll start tomorrow. It's just so true. And if that's triggered you listen to this, I've been there, right? And then the other core drivers, so you got like the 2 energy out, which is movement, as in steps and or cardio, anything where you're moving your body, training stimulus. Then you have energy in, which is food quality, food quantity. Then you have, I call them health essentials, which is water and sleep, right? Sounds boring. And you're talking to someone who did not value sleep in my 20s, and this is any advice to you guys in your 20s, respect sleep. Like, I probably aged more from 20 to 30 than I have from 30 to 40, and the one common denominator was I didn't give a shit about sleep in my 20s, especially with all the partying and pre-workouts and caffeine and stuff I shouldn't be doing.
Talking about water and sleep, so what would you say is the sweet spots for sleep? And before you answer that, I think in entrepreneurial culture, you get like toxic entrepreneurial culture, right? It's like, oh yeah, I don't sleep. Like, I just work. Like, it's not sustainable in my opinion. So how important is sleep? And what would you say is the right amount of sleep?
I want to stay in my lane with this. I mean, because coincidentally, on my podcast, I've just had a guy called Nick Littlehales, amazing genius when it comes to sleep and recovery and high performance, who worked with Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson, Real Madrid, Arsenal. He's a monster. You have to check that podcast out, guys.
What's your podcast for the listeners to check out?
Yeah, the podcast is the Kirk Miller podcast. And if you want to learn like real world practical tips, and I'll just try and summarize the best bits that Nick spoke about, because it was unbelievable value on that podcast. But yeah, the podcast is called The Kirk Miller Podcast, but he's a genius, so he can articulate the importance of sleep far better than I can. Because why is it important? Everyone's got a different value on sleep, right? But as we spoke about with energy, if you are sleep deprived, which I was in my 20s and even my early 30s, and you forget stuff, you're not as sharp. You generally, if you're sleep deprived, you're more likely to overeat shit. Tell me if I'm wrong, boys, right? When you're stressed, you're tired, what you're more likely to do? Yeah,
it's true. My scapegoat when I'm really stressed is to get a bar of chocolate.
Yeah, you want a reward.
If you're tired, you got no willpower, you lose willpower.
It's true.
Remember this, like, think about that. If you're trying to tie big deals or influence or sell or grow your business, if you're tired, your competitor, if they're looking after themselves, when you flake off at midday, 2-3 o'clock, your competitors aren't. Simply put, like, sleep is absolutely fundamental to every single aspect of performance. But what Nick talks about, I mean, is in entrepreneurship and when people have kids, partners, diversity in their business, where, like a lot of our clients, they're on planes a lot, they travel, I travel a lot. You can't always have this perfect golden 7 or 8 hours. And he's saying, even with the footballers he worked with, think about when he was working with the Manchester United treble team, David Beckham's, Gary Neville's, Ryan Giggs, all these different people. If they've got a Champions League game and they're not getting in from Paris Saint-Germain on a Wednesday till 2 p.m. because of the flight, they might not necessarily have the perfect 7 hours. He's a big advocate on trying to get up at the same time and then scheduling even power naps or just energy pit stops throughout the day just to allow you just like a Formula One driver, you know, going for a pit stop and keep carrying on. Because he's saying that whether you did, you know, 7 hours in one hit, that even if you couldn't do that sometimes for whatever reason, through business, through travel, through kids, at least schedule some mini pit stops in he talks about, like, you know, different 90-minute cycles. And again, I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about. And Nick will explain that far better. But sleep, if you're sleep deprived as well, and you're trying to build a good body, if you're tired, how can you train with intent, purpose? Come on.
It's true.
It'll be a half-hour session.
Yeah, your mental state's not there, is it?
Yeah, and you can't lift as much. And remember this, for someone who's been so consistent in the gym for all these years, one of the things that's going to keep you consistent is knowing that if you keep doing that behavior, as in go to the gym, and you're seeing a return on investment of that in terms of your physical development, your confidence, your energy, what are you going to do? You're going to keep doing it. So what's going to allow you to keep enjoying it more is going, how can I optimize performance when I'm doing it? You sleep better, you're well hydrated going into a session, you're going to lift more. If you lift more, your physique changes. Your physique changes, you feel better. And that confidence, you're not telling me that's not going to spill over into business, relationships, influence.
It's huge help. And I also think it helps how people perceive you when you're in shape, especially in business. Yeah, I respect people more that are in shape.
And you can eat more food. I keep saying this. Like, I've said this many times at EMC earlier, is why so many people are not in shape when deep down they'd like to be, if there was, the process could be simplified, is they don't know how to manage their food at weekends, on holidays, when they travel, when there are events like this, where they're having to stay over in a hotel. And it's not about being perfect, but this is logic. And I break this down to every single person who comes onto our program, Built to Last. Like, we don't work with anyone for less than a year. And that sounds a bit extreme. You think, why? If someone has not demonstrated they've been in shape for 12 months, like consistently, how are you going to do that without guidance? Because there's 52 weeks in a year, right? It's magic. Okay. Groundbreaking. That's 104 days. 104 days that make up a weekend. That's nearly a third of a year. Yeah. Then you've got holidays. I'm yet to coach anybody who doesn't have at least 2 to 4 weeks a year on holiday. So say even if you said 2 being reserved, 14 on top of 104, that's 118 days. Then you got Christmas, then you got birthdays, then you got business meetings.
It's always an excuse, right?
But my point is, these are just real world scenarios and environments that you need to make eating decisions that, one, you enjoy without compromising how you want to look. Does that make sense? So if people don't know how to do this, and this is where, you know, we are obsessive with how can we create resources at people's favourite restaurants so they're not scratching their head on what they eat, or at airports, Heathrow. We've got PDFs to go, what do you choose at Heathrow Terminal 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, because it's speed of solution. But these are the decisions that people want to know. What isn't helping people, and this is why I think a lot of people are maybe put off with the health and fitness journey, as an entrepreneur especially, people associate so much pain with having to change, as in, I've got to be on a diet plan. How am I going to stick to that with my routine? That they think, fuck it, I can't, I'm never going to be able to stick to it. And the truth is, all you need to learn is, if you do like, or have found success in a diet plan, because they do work certain weeks of the year, but not 52 weeks of the year, how do I optimize my eating when I'm in a home environment? How do I optimize my eating when I'm traveling? How do I optimize my eating when I'm on holiday? Because these are all different scenarios that if people don't know, you're completely winging it and relying on hope to how you want to look. And I'm saying it's not that complicated. You know, I even with my own food, we said we'd unpack this, right? Yeah. I've evolved from my 20s when I was in a bodybuilding gym in Coventry, eating 6 meals a day, every 3 hours, because that's what I thought you had to do. You know, your product, your environment, and that's what everyone did in the gym, right? So you're all like sheep copying each other. I mean, my food used to taste like shit, and I used to associate, right, for me to look a certain way, my food must taste like shit. You know, cold tuna, cold turkey. I mean, you wouldn't want to eat the food I ate in my 20s, you know, with how brutal it was in cooking. Obviously, you got less money, so you can't be as, you know, fancy or things like that. But I ate 6 meals a day, every 3 hours. Would stress out if it wasn't on the hour, because this is what you need to do. Then, as I progressed, obviously, my business had moved to London. That's when I started to scale the online business. But my lifestyle in Coventry to London, I realised very quickly, I thought, me living out of Tupperwares, when I'm travelling around more and stuff like that, and I want to eat out more. I met Gabby, and you got a bit more money, and I want to eat out more restaurants, and you're meeting clients, and you're thinking, okay, this system in Coventry doesn't work anymore, but I still want the same outcome of being in phenomenal shape, energy and confident. So I had to adapt my system, reduce my meal frequency. So same outcome, but just reduce the amount of times that I needed to eat, because that gave me more buffer for calories in the evening, as opposed to the more times you're eating. I'm not saying that's wrong, it served its purpose at that time, but the more times you're eating, the more opportunities you have to overeat over a course of a day. And then fast forward to now, my time is very much split, Dubai, London, travel, all that stuff. I totally outsource my food unless I'm actually eating at home, and I might make some eggs and oats, if that's convenient at home. But I eat from Deliveroo every single evening. But I know what to order from Deliveroo.
Just on that, right? Because we're ordering from Deliveroo, especially this weekend. This week, should I say? You're on Deliveroo, you're on the road. For entrepreneurs listening to this, what are healthy options for Deliveroo to get your protein in and stay in shape?
It depends where you are logistically.
True.
But what I would go is more on principle. So say I could give people a solution in Dubai, I could give someone a solution in London, give someone a solution here. You know, you just go, right, within my environment, what are the options I have? And then if you're really, really unsure, just go, right, every single time I look at the menu, just break it down, those principles that I mentioned earlier. How am I going to get my protein in? So a good rule of thumb, for example, say we were ordering from Deliveroo tonight here in Brighton. How can I order from Deliveroo, and wherever I order from, can I make sure I order 2 poundfuls of protein if I don't know the weight of the food? So I make sure that the primary focus is, can I get some protein in? Because if you're low on protein, you're going to overeat on stuff probably you don't need. Most people who over snack on sugar, processed food, or both is because they are hungry. Protein is the most thermogenic macronutrient. You get all the strength and muscle benefits, but it fills you up more. It's quite hard to overeat on chicken and steak and fish. It's not hard to eat on crisps and chocolate and biscuits and ice cream, okay? So I would do that, and then I think, okay, where can I get good quality, real, whole real food carbs? Do I need some fats in this meal? Is there anything green, as in salad, veggies, or both I can have? But what would determine the quantity that I ordered is what I'd eat during the day as well. And what people need to do if they want to start looking at their food with structure, but be a bit more malleable, you need to look more at your weekly, we call it weekly budget. Just like spending in business. Too many people get transfixed on, is that a good meal? Is that a good meal? Is that good? The average of what you eat across a week, not what you eat every now and then.
Okay.
And that's a great principle as a whole. You're the average of what you do, not what you do every now and then. So stop looking at meals in isolation so much. It's like, say if you'd had, I don't know, a shake to kick off the day. I can see you got some protein shakes there in the kitchen, right? And then you'd had, I don't know, chicken salad at EMC, maybe even a chicken sandwich, because that's what I saw there, and a piece of fruit.
We went for a Nando's.
Yeah, or even Nando's. Yeah, it's a solid choice depending on what you eat. Okay, but my point is, what you ordered in the evening is going to be in part down to where you're at in terms of your goals. Are you trying to put on weight? You're trying to maintain weight? You're trying to drop weight? Okay, so the volume of food is going to be dictated by that, and what you've eaten prior and what you intend to eat tomorrow. So, for example, there's been many weekends like this. Those listening, we're all obviously a 3-day marketing event here where, say there's a networking party and all of us here had intended to let loose a little bit, drink, go in a little bit with food. I'm in my head, I'm sort of mentally sort of preparing pre and post that if I want to maintain a certain standard with my physique. And again, I don't want to force my way on anyone listening to this, but I want to be an example to any entrepreneur that you can build a great business, have great relationships, make money, but also look the part as well. Have some self-respect for yourself. But that takes discipline around the social occasions, not pre and post. And again, I'm not perfect. We joked about it before. I've just come off a 40th weekend where, as Gabby was to her dismay, I'd probably drank more in 3 days than people do in about 3 years. Not drank all year prior to that. Yeah. So I'm not boring by any means. I eat out every week. I've just told you guys all have Deliveroo, but have structure in place and minimum standard scenarios. So a really great way for people to look at their week and month to month management of themselves with training, food, movement, sleep, water, have a best case scenario, have a minimum standard scenario. So like, if you had a perfect week, you haven't got, stress is low. This is my optimal training I can train, like foot to the floor, longer sessions, whatever that looks like for you. But even on a bad week, this is the bare minimum that I will make sure I still get done. As I said to you today, I did a 30-minute session today in shitty hotel gym, low weights. I could easily have not done it because I'm thinking, what's the point? Gym shit. But that was my minimum standard. It's discipline. And if you think I've been motivated for 24 years straight to eat well, train well, come on. It's not, but it's the discipline following through more often than not that will keep you in a good spot. Same with food. Best case scenario is you might be able to prep all your food and control everything. You maybe not got many socials, but then you want a minimum standard as well. So when people are on holiday, it's like whatever your thing is. It might be people listening to this. It might be a dessert. It might be drink. Might be a bit of both. But just have a minimum standard that you're not willing to go below, because how where you've took the piss with food, booze, or both, you'll feel guilty the next day. If you're bloated, you feel, it'll affect your energy. But if you can do that with all those things, training, food, sleep, best case scenario, minimum, and just keep a check on that week to week, then you're gonna be in a good spot,
What's just on energy? I know obviously you mentioned you've kind of gave the full formula, and sleep being one of the big ones, but what's the key things that can either add to your energy levels or take away your energy levels? Obviously, certain foods or eating at certain times of day, or
great question. Again, it's unique to an individual. Do you understand? Like, I think the key thing is just like you would do in business, right? I'm yet to meet an entrepreneur who doesn't evaluate their numbers each month or even each week. You pay attention to that. What about yourself? Do you take a check-in on your energy? How was my energy this week? And if, say you did a simple score of out of 10, go 10, I felt unbelievable, full of energy. We felt a 6. Why is that? Ask yourself, what foods do I think didn't help my energy this week? When did I feel like I had energy slumps? So you're sort of working backwards, because your energy, for example, say if I said to you on a scale of 1 to 10, Joe, like, what is your energy today or the last couple of days? Yeah, there can be other things, sometimes genuine stress, personal stuff, but generally speaking, it's your habits with your movement, your training, your sleep, your food, of course, that have created that energy. And I just go, right, if I felt I could have had more energy, what was the problem? Was it sleep? Was it food? Was it, did I need to move more? Because you can't just hope for more energy, you need to create it. But a really, really simple thing to do is at the end of each week, even if someone has no aspirations of building a golden body and all that stuff, say you got to the end of this week, Joe, and you were like, weren't quite happy with my energy, something was off. Like, imagine putting all your food on a table that you've just consumed this past 7 days, or liquids, whatever, but basically with the inputs that affect your energy, and then evaluate which food, snack, drinks probably didn't help my energy this week. How can I stop consuming them, replace them, or just simply do them a little bit less? I know that sounds a little bit boring and simple, but imagine just having that philosophy on a week-to-week basis. It's no different to business. Say if people go, I've had a tough month this month, I'm not making much profit. Why is that? What would you do? You'd evaluate the inputs.
Yeah, you'd analyse.
You'd evaluate the expenses. What's the costs? What's the investments that are helping me? Is it investment? Is it a cost? And again, there's so many little one-liners, but if you can just look at food and go, is this food an investment or a cost in the energy I wish to live with?
One of the things I've been doing recently, I just want to get your thoughts on it, is, so like for this weekend, for example, again, same thing, forward planning, thinking what I had, events and stuff. I knew I was just going to have, like, my brother came round, I knew he was going to do like a barbecue and whatever, and I knew I probably would be more enticed to eat some of the stuff I probably shouldn't eat. But what I didn't do was, I didn't eat during the rest of the day. So I fasted probably up until maybe 5 o'clock. So I'm in a deficit at the minute. Yeah. So I don't know whether would you suggest that's maybe the wrong thing to do? Is there a better way to handle that situation, or just physically be more disciplined?
What the fact you've just fasted because you want to?
I fasted because I was thinking in my head. I thought, right, I want to have food that I want to have. I don't really want to hold back. So what I'm going to do, I'm on about 1,500 calories a day at the minute, and tracking on
really
my
low.
fitness power. Yeah, I'm trying to shred.
I think it's too low, but that's another issue.
Yeah,
There's no two thing about it.
Yeah. That's probably because my output's probably not so great either. It's probably my steps and my cardio aren't. My steps are okay. My cardio is probably not great. But that's probably what it is, because I was higher. I have got a PT.
Yeah.
Are
you training weights?
Callum? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm training weights. I've got steps are on about 10 to 12,000 a day. No, I'm not doing any cardio.
But you're doing 10 to 12. You're doing again. Look at weekly budget. Say whether it's steps, whether it's food. It's the same thing. Look at your weekly budget. You're doing anywhere from 70 to 85, 90,000 steps a week.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, some days it's like 8. Some days it's like 18,000. So I'll play golf.
But you
so
again, it's about the averages. But you're doing at least 10k steps a day.
Yeah, I'd say on average about.
So you're doing 70,000 steps a week, and you resistance training.
Yeah.
How many times a week?
4.
And you're on 1,500.
About 1,500 calories.
Way too low.
Yeah.
Way too low. Sorry to tread on it's just fact.
No. Obviously, it's good to get.
How do you think it should be on?
I just think
because all it is I'm monitoring the weight, right, and how much the weight is dropping off. Like the other week, I dropped a kilo and a bit, which is really quick. And then it's just
lost loads of
monitoring
weight,
it. Yeah. I've lost a lot of weight, not for any like particular reason.
Every now and then,
depends on your goals.
Everything going like the extreme possibly isn't going to do you any harm, but
it's not sustainable. I'm not going to do it for a long time.
But you'll rebound very quickly, and you'll lose a lot of muscle, and you can't optimize performance or get anywhere near that in those 4 sessions, because you can't have energy out with that energy in. Do you know what I mean? So as much as I'm saying manage food and input output, but I know that if I give a twin of you the exact same workout, and you've got someone who's eating 1,400 to 1,500 calories, and they're doing the same steps as you, and you've got someone who's doing 2,000, who do you think is going to lift more?
Oh yeah, the guys.
Okay, so if he's lifting more, would you agree you're creating more energy out as a result of?
Yeah.
So you've got a person that, if one person is eating 1,400 to 1,500 calories and someone's doing 2,500, okay, so say I'm doing the same steps as you, and I'm doing the same steps, got the same workouts, but I'm eating 1,000 more calories than you.
Yeah.
But as a result of that 1,000 more calories, I'm able to train hard and get more output out, which means I'm creating my deficit through output. Yeah. And I'm in a happier place because I'm enjoying the session meal. Yeah. Does that make sense? But you say getting to the same goal, the deficit's the deficit. Do you know what I mean? Say if you were burning 400 active calories, I don't know, talking sake, but I'm burning 800, even though I'm eating more food, you're reaching the same outcome, but a more pleasurable way. Yeah. And that's just what I would say. I think you can eat more food. Unless you're training like an absolute pussy, to put it very bluntly.
We trained last night at like 11 o'clock at night.
He was putting in a shift last night.
You're a soldier, mate. Honestly, I just think you eat more food. But going back to your original question.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, doing a bit of that every now and then is going to kill you. All I would say is that...
Just trying to plan for, like, I still want to enjoy that stuff. I'm thinking, like,
you can.
If I have a barbecue, I'm thinking, like, do you know, I want a burger, like, I want chicken. Rather than just not have that stuff, because I know the temptation would get to me, I'd rather just not eat and then save all my calories for the evening. I don't know if that's the right thing to do.
I wouldn't eat once a day. What I would do with that is just be very strategic with, if you knew you were having a big barbecue, because I've done very, very similar where even if you had...
the right way to handle that
even if you had like a great way to do that, I mean, it's something I've done myself sometimes is where, because unless I train first thing now, I tend to have my first meal anywhere from say 11 to 2, and there's no set rule to that.
Yeah, that's what I do as well.
There's nothing about magic fasting and all this stuff. It's garbage, right? It's the average quality of calories, as I've said. But a very simple thing you can do is maybe have say a protein shake, which is purely protein and water, or even unsweetened almond milk. So it's low calories, high protein. Yeah. So at least you're having your protein hit, and it's curbing the hunger a little bit. And then if maybe you had another really lean protein source, say salad. So say if you'd have had something like, I don't know, chicken, fish, white fish, chicken, or tuna even, that's a protein hit but low calories again. So it'd have filled you up more.
Okay, fine. So I could have had like that in the morning.
Yeah, just that protein.
Maybe,
so you're having low calories, high protein.
Yeah.
Simply put.
Yeah.
But I don't, every now and then doing what you did ain't going to kill you, you know, but you just...
Again, it's not as a right way to play the cheat. Do you know what I mean?
I would stagger the protein. So you had a couple of bouts of protein before, but just lower calories.
Yeah.
And
I may have done. I mean, I can't remember. I may have just had like one of those clear protein
exactly.
shakes.
That would have been fine. But
yeah.
I just know from categoric experience, right?
Yeah.
Doing what you're doing eventually will lead to a massive binge. And then all of a sudden, that hard work you've done in the space of a couple of days, it can
change.
Without question. Yeah, you're talking. God, I know so many people that have got crazy low calories, and then within a week they just look, completely different person because it was so unsustainable that everyone's got such a threshold that they're going to binge on blood sugar levels all over the shop. So
I'm not going to do it for much longer. To be fair, to get me losing weight quicker as possible, because it's probably the less enjoyable part, right? And then rebuild.
Yeah, but I think you can still lose weight pretty quickly, even though my product built to last and don't know all this stuff. You can still. Well, give you some context. I don't coach anyone as a man who is on 1,400, 1,500 calories. It's unheard of, So I think you can.
That's bitch calories.
How many are you on, Joe? Say. He's on 1,600. We got two different personal trainers.
No, I've been on
I've
like
got
16, 17.
You've got Archie.
I just think, look, not me doing 10,000 steps a day, and look.
How many steps you tasked to do as well? About 10.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah,
I'm the same, to be fair. I've just been sitting quiet over here.
I've got a question.
I've
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you short. I had a question just in terms of my pattern. So I don't want to blow my own trumpet. I'm in quite good shape.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I don't track calories, but I try and track protein, and I probably eat like 3 meals a day.
Okay.
Do you think it's important to track calories to get to where you want to be?
Not always. It depends. The best way to evaluate that is: are you progressing, doing what you're doing? Yes or no?
Yes and no is probably what I'd say. I know that sounds quite backwards.
Okay,
maybe.
Let me explain. So I have like weird shifts of what I want to achieve, man. So 1 minute I want to get into Muay Thai, become like a Muay Thai champion, completely unsustainable, probably too old. The next minute I want to bulk, so I start having my 4 to 5 meals a day. And then it's weird, man. I go through this, other side of me wants to cut. I don't really have like a solid plan or goal, but I do show up every day. I'm training every day, but it's very backwards.
No, it sounds like a bit confused, that's all. What is like first we got your great training program, or your physical goal is, do I enjoy what I'm doing? Is it effective? And is it keeping me out of pain, as in like preventing injuries and stuff? And if I was to say to you an ideal, what does an ideal training week look like for you? What do you really enjoy doing? What do you not get bored of?
I enjoy Thai kickboxing a lot.
Yeah, how many times a week do you tend to enjoy it?
3 max.
Okay, so 3 max. And then what about lifting?
Lifting, I try and do 3.
Yeah.
But minimum twice.
Yeah. I think if you're going to do 2 or 3 days weights lifting, it's got to be full body.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're doing that, but you should definitely be doing full body training.
That's what I've been trying to do for sure.
Yeah. But okay, is there any like physique or identity that you
there
love?
Yeah, so...
And what does that look like?
I always wanted to be big until about a year ago.
Why did you want to be big?
I think it was more of an insecurity thing, to be honest with you.
Like a lot of
so
when we start,
I was a really skinny kid.
Yep.
I was tall and lanky, and I never had muscle. And my family used to call me a string bean. So from the age of 17, I got into lifting. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I've experimented with steroids back in 2018. Blew the fuck up, but it's not sustainable again. And now I just want to be healthy, man. I just want to be healthy. I want to be shredded, but still have muscle. So I don't want to look like a skinny guy. I want to be muscly, but I want to be shredded. Basically big and shredded.
You want to be fit, mobile, athletic, and
exactly.
Yeah. I can help you with that.
Yeah, it's not bad. Where do I sign up?
No, but you just, for me, I think a great way for your training routine, mate. I'd definitely do. I'd lift 3 full body sessions. I would do 3 lifting, you can get in shape off 2, but I'd be lying if I said, like, what do I think of, like, you know, the guys that I coach who I think, you know, they all lift 3, some 4 times a week, and it's full body, but it's effective, it's intense. But I think the Muay Thai, right?
Muay Thai.
Yeah, is perfect to complement that. And
for sure.
But that if you're going up between the 2, 1, you're mastering the martial arts. 2, you're strong, you're fit, you're powerful. So your physique could take care of itself for sure. I'm sure the Muay Thai is brutal in terms of output as well.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
You get beat up by teenagers, he said.
Genuinely, some of the guys there, they've been doing it since they were like 7. It's their life. And I'm sparring people that are like 6'4".
Yeah.
And they fuck me up bad. And then I ask them, like, how old are you? Some of them are like 18, mate.
Yeah,
19.
but it's like no different.
Nuts.
So, you know, I love boxing to complement my training. If one of my friends, Brad Goldsmith, he's a professional boxer. You know, he's at the England gym with Dominic Ingle. You know, with he looked after Cal Brook and all that type of stuff. And he's a lot younger than me, and he'd knock me out at any moment he wanted to. It's just nothing you can do. What can you do? Someone's a trained fighter and they've been doing it a long time. It's but yeah, I just trying to be definitive, like what physical shape and identity would make me most happy, most confident, what would I be at peace with, because and do that based on you, not my beliefs, not anyone else's, and maybe even just set like a 3-month target of, like, you know, do I want to add from where you are now, do you want to add a little bit more muscle, or but the only thing that's going to dictate what's trajectory of adding muscle or leaning down is it's the food, because you say your output is going to be pretty similar, right? Whether if you're saying you're doing Muay Thai, you're doing lifting, the only thing that dictates which direction someone's physique goes in terms of bigger or small is food. That's it. Sure. So if you don't track and you go, right, you want a tighter grip on that, you can track calories, and a lot of our clients, right, say if they're stuck, then you might go, okay, look, we need to see what's going on, right? But if you're not going to track your calories, it might be worth even just like taking pictures of your food, because otherwise it's like business, right? If we were to sit down with each other and go, okay, I'm not growing my business, why is that not happening? You need to look at the numbers, right? You need to look at what's going on. I mean, what I personally do as well is, because I've never tracked calories. I have followed fixed meal plans years ago, and I did a shoot for my 40th birthday last week, I think it was, and the week before my birthday. And what I do, the thing that keeps me really, really disciplined and gives me a pulse check on my food, because I don't track calories, you need to work backwards from some metric. Because if I'm not going to if I'm not tracking calories or following a meal plan, and how do I know if I'm eating too much or too little? Well, first of all, I monitor how I visually look, how I feel is most important. But I weigh myself every day, and weight will fluctuate. By the way, some people go, "Oh, it's negative." It's bullshit. Like, stats are staggering. People who weigh themselves regularly don't get out of shape.
For sure.
You're far less likely to overeat. And so I would use a similar strategy to me, weigh yourself every day and keep an eye again on the average body weight, like, because it will fluctuate. Even before my shoot, my weight was up and down by a couple of kilograms, which is totally normal. But I just look at the averages of, say, at the end of each week, if I'm in your shoes and the goal is, right, how can I add muscle or add strength? Say if you said, from now to Christmas, you want to add some muscle and strength without putting on body fat or minimizing, then I'd weigh myself every day, and I would just evaluate at the end of each week, right, based on what I've eaten last week, am I happy that that's moving me forward in the direction that I want to be in a week's time? If I keep doing the same, if not, what needs to change? Do I need to do more, to eat more? Do I need to eat less? Is there something in terms of my food quality, something I'm eating that is a waste of calories? Or does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Just talking about the food. So there's a lot of stigma and talk about intermittent fasting at the moment. People going crazy for it. I know the Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett, done a whole podcast on it, which is where I first discovered it.
Yeah, we've all listened to that.
We've all listened to it. Some people say it works. Other people think it's bullshit. You're an expert. I'd be interested to understand your opinion. What do you think about it?
Listen, I can only give my thoughts on my experiences. I know what I know is just categoric fact, having transformed so many people and been in shape all this time. There is nothing magic about intermittent fasting, but I think it's a phenomenal tool if people struggle with their weight, if people struggle to manipulate calories cleverly across a day, because all you're simply doing is having less time in the day as you're eating windows. But the reality is, if you were eating 4,000 calories, 5,000 calories in an 8-hour window because of your fasting, or 6-hour window, or 4 hours, and you're eating 4,000 or 5,000, so the same calories across a 24-hour period minus your sleep, your body weight's going to be the same. You know, it's just what's really, really clear, and you know, this is really, really simplified sort of take-home message for anyone listening is your current food management structure, and I prefer to use that word instead of diet, as in food management, how many times you eat, where you eat, what you eat. Am I happy with it? Do I feel energized off it? Do I see myself sticking to this? Is it actually changing me? If your goal is to build a better body, the answer is no. Then just look at how many times I'm eating. Is that too stressful for your day? Are you rushing down food? If the answer is yes, then maybe fasting is a great answer for you. Does it complement your day? Simply put, you know, 'cause say if I sat down with all of you and went, right, show me your day. There might be a better system for all of you individually in terms of how many times a day you want to eat, when you'd like to eat more food. Example, some people like to have a bigger breakfast. Some people like to have a better evening meal. Some people are, as Nick Littlehale said on the Sleep podcast, some people are AMers, early risers, some people are PMers. So that's where it's understanding your world, personally, professionally, socially, and going, right, in relation to the physical shape I want and my health and my business commitments, my family commitments, my partner, however you fill your day up, how many times a day can I eat stress-free? And do I feel I'm more in control of my food? And it supports how I want to operate socially. As I said to you guys, I've evolved from 6 meals a day to I have 2 big meals a day now and a shake. I have a bigger meal in the evening. Why? Because at the end of a long day as a business owner, I like to relax with a bigger evening meal. Yeah. And I like to have more food. It means if I can go out for meal without stressing, that suits my day.
It's the same as me.
But it's nothing. What I'm trying to say is, Joe, it's my body, as you'll see on the picture at tomorrow at EMC, I'm in better shape through years of maturity, marginally, you know, just from, you know, I've never wanted to be a massive guy, you know, it's just fit, strong, powerful, things you said.
Yeah.
But I look very similar to what I did 14 years ago, but the way I manage my food now is totally complementary to my day and my lifestyle, not what a hardcore bodybuilder thinks is right.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Some of those guys are eating like every 2 hours. It's just
and that's fine as a bodybuilder, but listen,
it's not sustainable.
It's ridiculous. You don't need to do that.
Well, you got too much going on.
But I think that sometimes with these things like fasting and all that stuff, you know, because on paper some days technically I do, but I'm not making a big deal out of it. There's nothing magic, and that's the only thing I will not not tolerate. But just I don't believe if someone is really, really forceful. To overly forceful when it comes to telling people how to eat, there's usually some form of sales alternative. There's some form of sales. There might be a product related to what they're trying to do, or it's not complicated.
It's kind of what I said to you before the podcast. I said what I've come to just realise. I think obviously I've got like an online PT now who they are great. So I'm not they've helped me a lot. But what I've come to realise is ultimately there's just way too many excuses, even to the form of, and I think part of that is the online presence of, you know, it's an industry, it's a bit of a crooked industry really, where people do just try to sell you this, you know, different alternatives. Really, it isn't that hard. Like, it's mainly excuse, just get in the fucking gym, get your steps in, and just eat less or eat. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone already really knows how to get in shape, pretty much. Like, they just don't do it.
Look, there are ways to optimize your training, which we do. There are ways to optimize food, right? But generally, there are 3 reasons why people don't change. You know, is it a skill issue? So does someone not know how to train properly? Does someone not know how to eat properly? Does someone not know about the importance of sleep? Is it a will issue? Is it a mindset issue? Is it a belief, an identity, emotional consistency issue? Or is it an environment issue? Are people spending time with unhealthy people, uninspiring people, or are they hanging out in places which is only going to help contribute towards weight gain and unhealthy habits, really. But whichever way you sugarcoat it, get some structure, get some accountability, whether it's with a coach or with yourself, because it's so easy to bullshit yourself without accountability. Look, I'm going to be really, really biased here about what I do. If you're in a peer group of people who have the ideal physical identity you want, your habits will improve by default. You know, it really does help being around people who share similar values, similar standards. That even me, a community, I'm one of the leaders, one of the coaches. I'm even more consistent, if anything, than I was years ago, because I'm around other people where you can't really take your foot off the pedal.
Got to be sharp.
Yeah, exactly. And we all have fun and stuff like that, but you enjoy the fun more when you're in shape and you've got your shit together.
Especially for yourself, where you niche down on entrepreneurs. So you're in a room full of successful people, and if they're successful and all in shape, and you've got, you know, a lot of, you're going to stand there and think, fuck, like, this is who I want to be. These are the people I want to be. Like you said, ultimately, the most successful people often look the part. They look good. Opportunities come to those people as well. We've all said it, like, if you don't look the part, it's brutal, but, you know, you're not going to get opportunities. When we're hiring staff and stuff like that, you are brutal. Like, I want to see on people's CV, I look straight away. I want to see a picture of them on the CV, and I will make a judgment straight away. When I was recently hiring, it was like playing business Tinder. Like, literally, I'm swiping through, and if you don't look the part for my company, I'm not going to hire you. Like,
so what we're on right now is a very controversial subject, but I completely agree. Like, after researching for so many hours on what makes productive people productive, I don't think I'd hire somebody who was completely out of shape.
yeah.
I wouldn't, you know, especially in sales. But that's a whole other story. In terms of the time, I think we're like 1 hour 30.
Yeah.
So good. No, that's cool. Just lastly on that point. Again, there's. I know some of the points today have been pretty straight talking. I say hopefully I'll share with you guys. I've been anything but, you know, the perfect, and I fuck up every single week. And if people are listening to this, and health isn't a primary value to theirs right now, and they're not in shape, if you're happy, no problem. But if you're not, take responsibility for yourself, your health, because at some point, having coached a lot of people who've made millions to the detriment of their physique, their relationships, it costs people at some point. It really does. And if it don't cost you now, it'll cost you down in the future. And it's like, when people, we've had some horrible situations, you know, things like cancer over the years in clients. I mean, it's terrible situations, you know, because some things you can't control. But you can live with them a lot more if you think, am I doing everything in my power? Or did I do everything in my power to at least, safeguard myself, you know, because we're on this now, like, and you guys are, you know, very sort of inspirational young entrepreneurs, and we're around obviously a lot this weekend. You can have as much money as you want, but you can only go to bed in one bed. You can only drive one car at a time. And there's only so many fancy meals you can have. And I just, as I've said earlier, the quality of your life is how happy you are when no one else is around. You can't lie to that man in the mirror. You can't lie to your feelings. And there's so many things you can do, and it's not complicated. It really isn't. You know, I'm by no means the finished ticket, but if I can build the physique I have, anyone can. I mean, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, genetics." That's fucking nonsense. My brother struggled with his weight his whole life. Thankfully, he's got a much tighter grip on it now. My mum had a hip replacement, never done strength training. It's inevitable. You're going to have these things if you don't look after, your body's not strong. And my dad's got type 2 diabetes from poor lifestyle choices. I love him, but quit smoking. Again, lack of knowledge, bless him. Quit smoking. Then when he had those urges to have a cigarette, you eat instead. But there's no knowledge. There was no... tried to help him since, and look, he's improved to some degree. Sister struggled with her weight whole life. So I don't want to be sounding, you know, too abrasive on this episode, but it's like the reason I look the way I do and I have the health I do and the energy I do, as opposed to even my family who I love dearly, is because I respect my health and my own internal happiness. I just think there's so many entrepreneurs that, especially like younger ones, because they're not aware of, I've got years to live. Yeah, granted you have, and I've just turned 40, so I don't want to sound like some boring man. But honestly, guys, fucking hell, the discipline, the dedication you guys and probably people listening to this put into their business. Fill your own cup up as well, and just watch your business go to another level. Watch your influence, your reputation go to a completely different level, and your happiness when you're enjoying the things that you're working so hard to create, your holidays, your cars, your things you watch, all that. Otherwise, you're going to rely on that next dopamine hit. You're going to try and buy happiness. It doesn't work.
A previous guest of ours on that, Simon Alexander Wrong, he said a healthy person has, you know, all the dreams and aspirations in the world, a million goals, and especially entrepreneurs, whereas a sick person has just one, and that's obviously to get better. And I think that hit me a lot when you said that, and I just thought it's so true. When you're ill, all you want to do is get better. What's the point in having a shitload of money if at some point you're just going to be sick, or you're not going to be able to move, or you're going to shorten your years? So yeah, health for me is just number one priority now.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like you shared some good insights today.
Sure,
So
man.
thank you.
I want to go to the gym now.
Where can our listeners find you on socials?
Just very simple, yeah. Kirk Miller, Kirk, and then Miller, all platforms. And yeah, as I said, I've got my own podcast as well. There's so much value on there and some great guests. And that one, Sleep in particular with Nick, is an absolute beast. So yeah, so much free value on there as well.
I appreciate you coming
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you guys. Thank you so much.